Hey, I'm Mike, and this is the weekly recap for the week of May 21st to 27th, the 5th week of Season 4 and the 2nd week of time running. Just like last week, the majority of my time was spent in MoP Remix. I have played almost none of retail. In Remix, I got my warrior up to a 353.5 item level. At the beginning of the week, I spent about 20k on item upgrades to get myself up past 350, and I just really didn't like that. So what I instead decided to focus on was getting all the mounts and majority of the toys first, because that's what I'm mostly focused on, and I know that the higher item level you get, the more harder content you can do, and the more bronze you get from that content. But I'm not in a super duper rush to get that, whereas with mounts and toys, and some of the transmogs as well, I guess I'm not in a rush to get them, but I would much rather get them now than wait to get them later. So any bronze that I was getting was instead being used towards cosmetic stuff rather than gear upgrades. I don't know how many threads I have on my cloak, but I know that I started yesterday at 10,000 stamina, and I'm ending the week at 16,870 stamina, and that was pretty much almost exclusively questing. And that's where I spent the majority of my time this weekend. Started working on Kunlai Summit, and then I only have Townlong Steps left. Well, I guess there is the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, as well as Timeless Isle and Throne of Thunder, or Isle of Thunder I should say, but the main zones are currently being worked on and almost done. So I'd like to finish off that. I ended up just doing it on my warrior because the priest that I had, as I got higher level, it was getting harder and harder to kill, and I noticed I was actually doing more damage as holy than I was as shadow for some reason. So I just opted, because my warrior is geared enough where I'm not completely screwed at level 70 or as a higher level, it's just much quicker to do these quests with this guy. Outside of that, on my warrior, I did finish up all the heroic dungeons. I went in and got the last dungeon which I needed, which was Shadowpan Monastery. I finished up all the scenarios as well. I forgot that not all scenarios have a heroic version, so I thought I did them all last week, but then I realized when I was going through specific scenarios that there was many more just normal scenarios, so I finished up all of those this week as well. Then I went in and finished all the raids on normal as well, so I got my, I think it's a neck piece you unlock from that. Throne of Thunder has a couple of pug killing bosses, and fortunately I just only wiped I think a few times on Duramu, and then I went in a couple days later with my guild, and we again wiped a few times, but we ended up getting it. And then Dark Animus was about the same, few wipes, and then we got it. So Throne is my least favorite, and especially without a frog farmer, it sucked. Both Throne and Siege are really long, and I just don't like how long these raids take. And being on a daily lockout, it can be kind of time consuming if you want to do all the raids in one sitting. My goal this week is to try to focus on finishing up Loremaster, of course. And then whenever I can, just doing as many raids as I can per day. Maybe at least one, maybe Mogushan Vaults or Terrace just for the daily quest. Since I got the majority of the cosmetic stuff that I wanted, I'm going to be focusing more on gear upgrades. So of course, running the raids on normal is going to be getting me that bronze that I need to slowly start upgrading up to a higher item level, which hopefully will get me into heroic. One thing I was actually reminded of this week was while I was doing Throne of Thunder again for the first time in a group since MoP came out, I was reminded that my TLDR guides were inspired by Throne of Thunder. So at the time, I'd come back to the game, and Throne had been out for a while now, and I joined this random guild who was just clearing it. They were still doing a little bit of progression, but for the most part, they had all the bosses down. And I remember the morning or afternoon that day, I'd spent like a couple hours going through all the fat boss guides, which were very detailed, but like 15 to 20 minutes long per boss. I had a notepad full of notes just so I would remember what to do on each fight. And then later in the evening, I went to raid and I opened up my notepad and I would refer to all the notes that I had. And a lot of times I was like, I kind of remember this, but I had watched like 13 videos and I don't really remember all the fights, even though I have points on them. And I specifically remember it was on the way to Primordius where I was like, man, I really wish there was like a very quick video that I could watch during trash to explain the next boss to me. Like I've played WoW long enough where I don't need like a 15-minute guide going over like the intricacies of everything. Just like, this is bad, don't stand in it. This is good, stand in that. Move out if you have this, kill this at. So it's funny because I was in Throne again and I was like, I kind of remember these mechanics just from when I did them back in MoP. But once again, I wish there was just a very quick guide on just these bosses so I didn't have to watch 15-20 minutes of videos or wipe, for example, on Duramu or Dark Animus. Dark Anima? I don't remember what it is. Until we finally get it. So if my TLDR guides were ever helpful for you, you have Throne of Thunder back in MoP to thank for that. What I also did at the start of the week was I leveled up my priest that I had made up to level 49. I made him a healer, which outside of a couple hours for like low-level dungeon queues like many years ago, I've never played a healer before, so I was very much out of my element. So I made the character, and then from 10 to 25, I pretty much just jumped into dungeons and just spam ran them the entire time. And I was kind of hoping I would learn the basics on how to heal in those dungeons, but everyone was just doing so much damage and taking no damage that it was just being a healer in a dungeon was very useless. So once I got to 25, I went and did a normal Mogushan Vaults, where there was a little bit more healing involved, but for the most part, it wasn't that bad. But even still for the little bit of healing that I had to do, I was very stressed out, and I didn't really know what I should be casting, whether it was like continuously casting AoE heals, if I should be flash healing specific people when they're low. I really have no idea, so I'm still kind of trying to learn. I didn't really do, I think I did one Mogushan Vaults with him, so just continuing to learn. There's a lot to learn, so if there's any tips, just let me know. but I am excited to do that, just something different. I'm kind of curious to know whether or not I'm going to like healing, because I know that in other games like Battlefield, for example, I love playing the medic. I love being the healing class. So I'm curious to see if like once I actually start doing actual healing, if I'm going to enjoy it, if it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be stressful, but I'm like, once I get past that, if it's going to be just continuously stressful just because that is what a healer is being stressed out. I'd like to, if I have time, or if I'm just feeling like I want to break, I'd like to get this priest to level 70 this week. And my ideal goal on a weekly basis would be to get one new character to 70 every single week, because then I'm getting all the bronze that I need to buy the extra stuff that I want. And as well, I'm building that alt army that I was hoping to build with this event. And speaking of that, actually too, I started deleting characters that I had for years now that were just low level and I never really played. Like a level 28 monk that I had, I was like, I will be level 28 in like 30 minutes in MoP Remix, and I haven't played this monk in years. So I'm just going to delete him and just start a new one and get him to 70 and just have that there. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering, where do I want to stop with this? Because like, for example, I have a level 55, I think, Dark Iron Dwarf, which I don't really play. I'm probably not going to play very much of. And if I just level him in retail, he's not going to get to level 70 or 80, I guess, in War Within anytime soon. So I'm wondering if it's just worth it to delete him, get to 70 in MoP Remix, and just have that 70 there. So we'll see. I for sure deleted a couple of characters already, so that were low level, so we'll see how that goes. The one thing with alts, though, I'm kind of not sure about is how much I'll really play them once they get to level 70, especially since I'm seeing how much work it is to get my warrior up to a decent item level just as a tank. Like I'm starting to get like Fury gear, and I'm wondering, is it even worth it to level a DPS set? Because I don't necessarily always want to tank, and maybe it just makes more sense for me to go DPS on some runs. But like, I don't want to upgrade all this gear, and then doing all that on alts, like getting all the threads on my alts, getting all that bronze to upgrade their gear, like it's a lot. And so it kind of sucks, because I would like to play other characters at max level in raids, for example. So that's the only thing with alts I'm not really that big a fan of. I really, really, really wish they would change it so that your alts Cloak had more of a stat bonus compared to what they currently have. On retail, I didn't spend a whole lot of time there. The majority of that time was just spent doing world quests on my warrior whenever the reset came in, and then doing mat runs. So my warrior's item level remained unchanged. He only had a couple LFR options in the vault because I didn't do much the week before. Those were not upgrades, so I took the tokens and got 2,000 gold out of them. I don't want to get sockets on gear because that is pointless, because gear is pointless and gold is more valuable to me, so that's why I did that. On this guy, I didn't even do the weekly quest. I just did not want to play retail at all. My guild went into Heroic Avarice on Wednesday, and we only did the first boss on Heroic and then the last two, whatever the skip is. I think it's just 3 bosses. But like, I really, really, really did not want to raid. I haven't felt that much of a disdain towards raiding since I was completely burnt out back in BFA. On my mage, the only time I logged in was to check my vault, which I realized I didn't loot the week before, so there was nothing new in my loot. It was just one delayed week of looting it. There was a couple options in there, which I ended up taking the 509 item level Cloak, which replaced my 502, which brought my item level from 497.37 to 497.81. But otherwise, did not log on him at all. I don't even think I accepted the weekly quest, didn't do a grand hunt, nothing. For achievements, I started the week at 38,700 and I'm ending at 38,885, which is a difference of 185 points. The legwork for that was really done by the A World Awoken achievement. The last fishing hole that I needed came up this week and I got all that done. And then one other notable one is that I got the best in slot achievement, so finished up all my fishing there. In MoP Remix, I got a bunch of achievements as well. I got an additional 47 from what I had last week. So now I've completed 108 of the 147 available achievements in that little tab. The majority of them were the zone quests, so the collect the treasures, kill the rares, and do the quest lines in each zone. And of course the scenarios and stuff I did earlier as well. For mounts this week, it was quantity-wise pretty big. I won't go through all of them, but of course I did Dragon Soul this week, and I'll let you guess what happened there. On retail, because I got A World Awoken, I got the Stormtouch Bruffalon for the Across the Isles achievement. I got the Bestowed Trawling Mammoth for Army of the Fed. And then I got Taven, of course, for A World Awoken. Honestly, I think this mount is pretty ugly. Seems like I'm in the minority for that. I do think the little trot it does as it runs is pretty cute, though. I was finally able to buy the Subterranean Magma Mammoth for 400 coveted bauble, as well as the Igneous Shellwing for 100 coveted bauble. And then in MoP Remix, I bought all of the event exclusive mounts. I also, because I got the Veil of Eternal Blossoms achievement, I got the Astral Emperor Serpent, so that was nice to get. I hate the model, but that is a kind of a nice looking mount. There are a handful of mounts on retail that I don't have yet that I'm just, at this point, I'm just going to wait till the end of the event and just focus on getting those later. Because like I don't have Ji-Kun, for example. I'm still farming Throne of Thunder though, so I might just be able to get it myself by farming it and save myself 38,000 bronze. So I'll kind of focus on those mounts later on. Related to WoW, but not related to WoW, the only thing I wanted to mention really quick is that on Friday I posted a video on my channel called Is Grinding Pointless? It's something I've been thinking about for a while and I was just really excited to make that video. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do because I think it's kind of interesting. But that's it for me this week. I'm going to edit this video and go right back to playing MoP because I am obsessed. Overall, it was a great week. I had a lot of fun and looking forward to doing more of that this week. Let me know what you got up to this week, whether it was in retail, some Mythic Plus, raids, achievements, mounts, whatever it was, or maybe play Classic or Season of Discovery or Cataclysm. I think that finally launched last week. Let me know what you're up to in the game, anything at all. I'd be happy to hear it. Make sure to check the description box for some links to my socials. Like this video if you like it. If you're not subscribed yet and you're interested in doing that, I'd appreciate it. Love you lots. Have a great day. Have a great week. And I'll talk at you next week. Bye.